All right, so you want to be a bodybuilder. Sorry, I'm doing cardio right now, watching the Phil Heath documentary. And it made me want to come on here and say a couple things. So people always ask me, especially recently since I just did my last show, if I think bodybuilding is for everyone or if I think they have what it takes to get into bodybuilding. And I'm talking about actually bodybuilding, doing bodybuilding preps, not just your average gym bro that trains like a bodybuilder. And simply my answer to them would just be no. You know, I wish I could say that the world was all rainbow, sunshines, and that, you know, anyone could do bodybuilding. But honestly, this lifestyle is just not for everybody. You know, and I'm not talking about genetics wise, like not being able to do well in bodybuilding. I mean the mentality of it. And you know, the reason for that is, as I was told by my coach when I first got into bodybuilding, is that it is a very selfish sport. You know, getting into bodybuilding is, you know, a serious commitment. You know, it's something you can't really go half in on. You know, it's all or nothing. And I'm talking, you know, both physically and mentally. And that's just not going to be suitable for everybody. You know, and there's a lot of reasons that go into that, you know, people aren't going to truly understand until it's something you go through. But I'll give you guys a couple reasons and try to keep this video pretty short. So firstly, something a lot of guys don't realize when they're first wanting to get into bodybuilding or until it's too late is that bodybuilding is a huge, you know, financial investment. You know, from the simple things such as your gym membership to your supplements, even for natural guys and especially for those guys that are enhanced, all of the food that you need to eat, and you know, like your show fees. You know, and that's one of the fees that I'm talking about that guys don't really go into it expecting to pay or really thinking about until it's too late. You know, you need to pay for your federation membership. You need to pay to enter your show, enter your classes, enter your divisions. You need to pay for your tanning. You need to pay for your posing trunks, your hotel, travel fees. And you know, a lot of that really starts to add up. You need to hire a coach. And you know, like I'm saying, all these fees really add up. And so for these guys that go into it expecting to pay, you know, X amount of dollars, and then they don't count in, you know, the $1,000 at the end after they've already paid for all their food, coaching, and to get to that show, to need to dish out more money to actually even compete in the show. Next is gonna have to be your time management. You know, do you really even have the time to be a bodybuilder? You know, you gotta have the time out of the day to train, which for a lot of guys can be anywhere from like an hour to 2 hours plus a day. Then you have to do your cardio sessions, which for a lot of guys can be, you know, have to be split up into 2 different sessions. You know, you have your fasted cardio in the morning, you have your post-workout or your evening cardio. Obviously, that's going to be different person to person, but you know, each of those cardio sessions alone for some guys can be, you know, up to an hour long each. Then obviously you have to make time for any extra things such as working on your posing, if your coach has you sitting in a sauna, any stretching or recovery work that you need to do. Then another one is going to be, you know, your meal prepping, your meal planning. You know, obviously having to make the food takes time. Then you need to plan ahead to make sure that you can, you know, evenly space out your meals throughout the day and make sure you get them in. Even during, you know, travel times, work, you know, whether you need to go hide in the bathroom and crush down a meal because it's that time of the day. You know, I could go on forever with all the things that you need to make time for when it comes to bodybuilding, from recovery or whatever else. You know, and when it comes to balancing these demands, you know, with making time for your family, your friends, work, you know, and other commitments, it can be very challenging for people because, you know, there is only so many hours in the day and you have, you know, some things with no wiggle room. You know, and just all the time that it takes from away from your day is why I'm saying it's such a selfish sport. And that's why it's so important to make sure you have a great support system around you to, you know, help you get things done. You know, and lastly, you got to make sure that you have your personal relationships in order. You know, with the other points I just made, that can put a huge strain on, you know, your relationships with, you know, your spouse, your family, your friends. because once again, you know, it's such a selfish sport. You know, the training schedule, the strict diet are things that are going to really clash with, you know, your normal lifestyle. You know, social gatherings, holidays, family events, any vacations, you know, and many people in your social circle, your friends, your family, you know, they're not going to be able to understand or even support you sometimes with this lifestyle. And, you know, that's going to lead to conflict. You know, a lot of guys start feeling super isolated. You know, but you can't get mad at your friends and your family for not understanding, because this is a decision that you made. It's something that you chose to do. You know, when it gets hard and, you know, you got your family there telling you like, oh, come on, you can eat this. It's not really that big of a deal. You need to have that willpower to, you know, push through that, stay on track. Because if not, you're never going to hit those goals when it comes time to step on stage. One more point that I had mentioned at the start is just straight up the mentality of bodybuilding. You know, you need to truly want this, you need to love it, you need to enjoy the process, you know, and not everyone possesses the physical and mental resilience that is needed to endure this bodybuilding lifestyle. You know, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like I said, bodybuilding is just not for everyone. But, you know, you can't fake it. You have to genuinely enjoy prep, you know, enjoy the suffering. And, you know, if you don't enjoy it, you don't need to be doing it. This is something that just requires immense discipline, perseverance, and just the ability to push through, you know, discomfort. Being able to train while you're hungry, while you're tired, going to bed hungry. A lot of guys are just going to find prep as overwhelming, or just simply won't enjoy it enough to stick with it long term. This isn't like a 2-week commitment. For a lot of guys, you know, minimum 12-week preps, but for, you know, most guys, that's gonna be 16, 18, 20 plus week preps to really get in that, you know, stage conditioning. And prep isn't really fun. I mean, you have to enjoy it, but it's not fun. Being able to see yourself shredded with a pump, good lighting in the gym mirror, yeah, it's gonna make you happy, you know, hype you up. But, you know, until you get to that point, most days you're gonna feel like shit. Most of the times you're gonna look in the mirror and you're gonna feel like you look like shit. You know, you're gonna feel like you're too small, too fat, too flat. And that really eats at a lot of guys' mental health. You know, they start not trusting the process, messaging other coaches, asking people like, oh, do you think I'm gonna be able to, you know, be ready come stage time? Then they start cheating on their diet, you know, adding more carbs, adding more cardio, taking out food. That's just something you really shouldn't be doing. The video is getting pretty long, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up. So, in conclusion, before you know, ask yourself if you should do a prep, or ask someone else if they think you should do a prep. If you're seeing this video, I really hope that you take a second and think, do you have what it takes? You know, given all the points I just addressed, are you set up financially, emotionally? Do you have the time? Are your personal relationships in order for you to even be able to consider doing a prep? Next, think, is this something you actually want to do? Is this something you want to put yourself through? You know, and if the answer to all of those is yes, then go ahead. Why not? Do a bodybuilding prep, really learn about yourself, see if you have what it takes, and see where it can take you. All right, this is probably the longest video I ever recorded, but I really hope that some of this information helps you guys out. You know, there's a lot more that goes into it, but like I said, some stuff you just don't know until you go through it yourself, okay? But yeah, peace out, boys.